Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dr. Westman. Today we're going to be chatting about keto done wrong. We also have a bonus for you, and it's Dr. Westman's free top 10 fat loss tips. We'll put a link in the description for you at the end of the video. Hey, Eric.
I'm good. How are you doing, Glenn?
Very, very good. Thank you. And thanks for joining us again today for another episode. Eric, it's no secret that keto or low carb is very, very popular right now. And there's never been a time where so much information is so freely available. Unfortunately, this has also led to massive confusion out there.
Yes. Well, so I've been in this keto, low carb, LCHF, Atkins, South Beach. It's all variations on the same theme. I've been in this world in research and in the clinic at Duke now for over 20 years. And it's most popular now than it's ever been. I have to say, yeah, totally. It's most popular. But again, it's a double-edged sword, like you're saying, because a lot of the information is not quite as well validated and supported. And it's hard to tell the difference, isn't it?
Now I know that your method hasn't changed much in nearly 20 years. And the reason for that is it works. What have you learned over the years?
Well, in our work was at Duke, our studies and the clinical work, it was based on doctors who had used it for 30 years before that. And even then they based their work on people who'd used it for 50 years before that. So when you look at it, this is something that's been used over 100 years successfully. And I guess it was never so popular because you didn't have products and pills and gadgets and gizmos, and everyone likes those, right? Makes it seem new and gives you something to do. But I stand behind what I've done because we've published the research studies. We've seen other people use it and borrow it and use it in their own clinical practices. So I'm quite confident that it's safe and effective, what we teach. I'm not so sure about what other people teach.
So now the title of today's video is Keto Done Wrong. Can you give us, let's say five, if you can find 5 examples of where you believe keto is being implemented incorrectly or wrong?
Yeah, well, I have to say that there's kind of 2 categories, because you can do keto wrong and it just doesn't work, or you can do keto wrong and then it's unsafe. I mean, it might harm you if you don't do it right. So let me separate it into those things, maybe handle the worst case first. If you have medical problems and you're on medications, keto can be unsafe if you're not using a medical supervised sort of approach. If you don't know what insulin does and you don't know blood sugar monitors to monitor it, you don't monitor your blood pressure. So if you're on medications, keto can be done wrong and it's not safe if you do it that way. So that's kind of my first, hazard. And unfortunately, I've seen people blame the diet for things when it really was the medication that was the problem. And they didn't know that they had to reduce or change or even eliminate the medication that quickly. So doing it unsafe, wrong and unsafe, I have to say, if someone's on medicine and they don't know how to manage it, and then if you're not taught by someone who teaches you to use real food first, I've seen people go down strange directions of buying products and thinking that, well, I wasn't hungry, my hunger was gone. Isn't that what keto is? So I actually run into people who do things like just drink apple cider vinegar and they are not hungry, but then they're not eating any food. And so that's doing keto wrong. That's not dangerous like being on a medicine, but it's unsafe and unhealthy in the long run. I mean, there are a lot of ways to lose weight. We know that you can starve yourself and do prolonged fasting, but we don't want to do that if there are other ways to do it that are healthier. So I want to help someone, and the Obesity Medicine Association that I'm involved with wants to help people lose weight in the healthiest possible way. So don't get trapped by oh, drink my apple cider vinegar or eat my keto cookies and things like that without eating real food first. So getting the fundamental teaching will help you avoid the unsafe medication errors that I've seen, and then the unsafe use of these products where you're not eating food.
Let me add a couple more in there, if and tell me if you think that this qualifies as well. What about one of the biggest ones where people really believe that a keto diet is just consuming copious and copious amounts of fat?
Right. Well, so now let's get into the, okay, it won't, harm you or be dangerous, but it's just not going to be very effective for you. That into that category, I see a lot of people, again, learning from companies that are selling you products that, this is what keto means, when I don't use any of these products in the program that I teach. I teach using real food. And there is a false belief that because oils and butter and cream have no carbs in them, you can have as much as you want. Now, we say you can have as much as you want of some foods because these are the nutritious foods, generally the meats, the poultry, the eggs, those sort of things. You don't have to worry about how much, but the high calorie items that have no carbs, I've seen a lot of people think that that's what keto means. You have to put oil on your coffee and or butter on your steak and all this, and that's not what keto really doing it correctly. If you're trying to lose weight or fix diabetes, you don't want to be adding in oils and fats and things, because you have to burn through those calories that you're consuming there before you're going to start burning down your own body fat calories.
Another one. What about total versus net carbs? I can't tell you when we do the Keto Made Simple Masterclass, when we have our people, enrolling in the class. Cannot tell you how many people realize that they're doing it wrong because they're counting net carbs and not total carbs.
Well, so you have to understand that the time-honored way to count carbs is using total carbs, not net. So for the last 100 years, when doctors were using, a clinical therapeutic keto diet, they always counted total, not net. So in the year 2000-ish, right around there, the idea of net carbs came about, so that the idea was we're understanding metabolism more, fiber doesn't get absorbed, sugar alcohols don't raise the blood sugar, so therefore you could have those. And in theory, it shouldn't affect how the program would be. The problem is, in the practical reality, it does affect how things can work. So some people do absorb even fiber that's called non-absorbable fiber. And the only way you would know is by checking your blood sugar after eating it. So from, again, my perspective, when people come to me, they want things to work the first time, every time, like a prescription drug. So I'm not going to use the variability and the uncertainty of net carbs when someone's asking me for the confidence that this will work. So to lead to the confusion, I have to take some credit for causing the confusion, because I'm an author on the new Atkins for a New You book. And the Atkins company has been pushing net carbs now for 15 years or so at the website. And the distinction I want to make is that it's not wrong. It's just not quite as effective. Kind of like an over-the-counter drug. It's not wrong that there's Tylenol or ibuprofen over the counter. It will help a lot of people. So the net carb idea can help a lot of people. But if you want the prescription strength or the effect that will really help the diabetes and the weight loss, then you want to use total carbs, not net carbs. And so put it in another way, I've seen people get stalled or start out and it doesn't work using net carbs. And all I do is help them understand that change from net carbs to total carbs, and it starts working. They start having results. And then I'm happy and my patients are happy.
So this leads to another area where people get wrong, is that there's so many keto recipes and cookbooks and beautiful, very, very creative things. But my word, the amount of let's say almond flour that people are using to bake cakes and to bake breads and to bake all these kind of things, at the end of the day, this leads to an absolute overconsumption of calories. And at the end of the day, calories do count. So I think we've listed 5. I'll recap after you answer this particular one or talk to this particular point. But yes, what about overconsumption of calories?
Right. Well, so the keto diet works for weight loss and for diabetes reversal by having you eat less and then you eat fewer calories, but you don't have to count calories. So that's the beauty of it. It's a low calorie diet. It becomes one compared to what you were eating almost effortlessly. And I have to say this is for 98% of people. In the clinic, it might be a little lower percentage than that because you're on medications. You're unable to move, you have arthritis, things like that. You're not very active, but it becomes a low calorie diet, even though you don't count the calories. I just want to also emphasize that almond flour thing, because again, I've had people just cut out almond flour, and then they have the program start working again. And it might seem like it's a very small thing, but small things make a big difference, because we're talking about very small amounts of sugar in the blood. And it's the sugar in the blood that drives the insulin. And it's the insulin in the blood that drives the fat storage and the fat creation. So the idea, big picture, is we've used something now for 20 years based on other people who've used it for 30 years and other people use it 50. So it's going to work.
Let me just recap on those 5, I would say the biggest causes of people doing keto, doing it wrong. You listed medications. People that try and implement a keto diet while they're on medications could be very hazardous for their health. And I know that you always suggest that people be monitored by their doctor if they're on medications like blood pressure medications and type 2 diabetes medications, etc., etc. The next one you mentioned was products, having to purchase products, let's say exogenous ketones or other sorts of products and oils and potions that people try and market to you that if you don't have it, you're not really doing keto. The other one is the overconsumption of fat. Sorry, I'm just reading these down. The other one was total versus net carbs. We always use the total carb method. And last but not least, it was limiting naturally the amount of calories, and that's what your approach actually does. It is a natural reduction in calories without you having to count macros and things like that. Do you think that we've covered 5 of the biggest reasons why people do keto wrong?
I think those are the ones, and the reason we care is we want people to do keto right, and we don't want the bad ways to besmirch or give keto a bad name.
Now, lastly, I just want to ask you, how can folks get back to basics and follow the program with certainty that it's going to work the first time, every time?
I think getting a reputable source of information that starts from real food. If the program starts by teaching you to have protein first, that's going to be a good program. You don't want a program that tells you to do a keto diet, you need ketones, or to do a keto diet, you need fat. That's not the sound nutritional foundation that you want. You want a program that's going to teach you to use real foods, and protein comes first. I think that's the main thing.
Eric, I want to thank you so much for your valuable information. We get nuggets of information from you each week, and we are very, very thankful for that. So thank you so much. Don't forget, folks, to get the bonus. That's Dr. Westman's free top 10 fat loss tips. If you haven't already got that, we've sent it out a couple of times, and the link will be in the description. If you'd like to learn more about Adapt Your Life Academy and our upcoming courses, you can find us on our website at www.adaptyourlifeacademy.com. We've got exciting new courses coming up. We've just finished enrolling for the second Keto Made Simple Masterclass, and we are very, very excited that we are going to be rolling out an exciting new course during the month of March. So go check us out, join the wait list. Very, very exciting courses to follow. And also, if you enjoyed the video, you can always find us on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter accounts under the name of Adapt Your Life. So on behalf of Dr. Westman and myself, this is us signing off with another episode of Conversations with Dr. Westman, and we look forward to catching up with you next week, same time. Thank you so much, Eric.
If you like this video, you're going to love our Adapt Your Life Academy. So click on the link in the description to find out more.